welcome back to the MHP Show podcast. I'm your host, Derek Vickers, CEO of Victory Real Estate Group. And we all know on the MHP Show, we talk about anything and everything that has to do with this crazy freaking business of trailer parks, the operations of it, the crazy things that you find in due diligence. And maybe I'll talk about some of the crazy things that I have found here recently in due diligence today. But I've got someone with me today. I've got Mr. Spencer Davidson, my friend, business partner, and fellow MHP lover, I guess you could say. Welcome.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, I guess I'm a newly MHP lover. I've grown accustomed to the space. So, yeah, dude. Thanks for having me on, brother. Appreciate it.
Yeah, dude. We should probably record like some of our conversations that we have on a daily basis about deals and shit. And like, we should just have the phone and hit record when we're talking. Cause we're like, damn, dude, that would be a good kind of the conversations that we get in are always interesting.
Yeah. It's insane, man. Like, and sometimes I need to do it just to remember what we talked about because I have so much scratch paper going on, but yeah, man. I mean, the stuff that we talk about, the in-depth stuff we talk about, like the way our brains work, I think it would be really valuable for people to see how to actually break down a deal. And I think, doing more of this is what the space needs, because I think there's a lot of understanding of what a mobile home park investment actually looks like. And so, just from, there's so many old methodologies that I see, especially in the Facebook group that we have. If you're not a part of that, Derek and I have a Facebook group, Mobile Home Park Investing Pros. Feel free to join that. We'll add you. But yeah, I just see a lot of comments in there sometimes, or some other groups here on Facebook that it's just outdated information about the space, about like underwriting deals, valuing deals, and things like that. And so, I know we pick fun at that sometimes, but then like if people could just see how we look at deals and how we underwrite deals in the process, and it's like it's insane, and I'm glad it's fun to be a part of doing it, but I just think it'd be valuable for people to see that and how we go about looking at a deal and all the different ways a deal could work.
Yeah, exactly. Because there's not just one way that a deal can work. I mean, we literally talk about this all the time because I know what you're talking about too. Like, we'll have people post in the group about deals, and I'm like, okay, if you look at that like this, then okay, it's a decent deal. But if you're looking at it that, hey, you have to buy a 15 cap and it's got to be all tenant-owned homes, and it's got to be direct billed utilities, and the city sends you the tenants the bill for the property taxes, and there's no expenses, and it's all PVC pipe, like. And it's in the middle of Tampa. Like, okay, well, you're never going to buy anything. And that's why I hate that. And some of the people that go by this old adage is because you're never going to fucking buy anything. Like, right. You're literally going to look up 5 years later. And if you say, I'm never going to buy park-owned homes, I'm never going to buy private utilities, if it's not PVC, if it's not direct build, like, you're not going to fucking buy anything. You might buy something in Chipley, or or Oak Tree, Iowa, our favorite middle of nowhere place that doesn't exist, right? You might buy something
exactly.
there.
I mean, and that's just the reality. And dude, they probably wouldn't even buy Chipley because it's like they would look at it it's all park owned, right? So they'd be like, oh my gosh, no. I can't buy Chipley, Florida, even though it's actually a killer deal. It's a double right away if you just know how to maneuver it, and that's what people don't understand. And it's like, all of these people talking about, hey, it's got to have paved roads, it's got to have direct build utilities, it's got to be city water, city sewer, all that, it's all tenant homes, it's owned homes. It's like, yeah, that's what you turn the park into, but you don't buy it that way. And if you're going to buy it that way, good luck. I mean, you're going to pay a premium price for it, and good luck finding it, like you mentioned. So, like, yeah, obviously that's a good goal to turn the park into that, but it's going to, like, as you know, it takes a lot of money, time, effort, and energy and to do that. But, if you think you're just going to walk into a 70 spacer with all of those things, paying 30 a pad in Florida, you're never going to buy a deal ever again. Let's get more real. Let's talk more like 150 a pad. And people, when I say that, are like, oh my God, that'll never happen. Like, just watch. Multifamily is $250,000 per unit at like minimum right now in Florida, for an apartment. So, Where are people going to live? Mobile home parks.
I was talking to a friend of mine in Starbucks. This was, I don't know, last year. And was talking to him, and it just has so happened. I forget the guy's name that was sitting beside me, but he like goes around and teaches people how to invest in mobile home parks. Older guy, he's kind of an old dog, He's like, oh yeah, you can't buy anything now, and lot rents are never going to be over $500 a month. And I'm like, dude, we were getting 900 20 minutes this way, right? It's never going to be over $500. And now people are saying, oh, it's never going to be over $1,500. Like, dude, I know the lot rent in Florida will be $1,500. It already is in some places. There was a deal that I got sent yesterday. It's granted, it's off one of those little islands or something off of Naples and down in that area. But the lot rent's, $1,500.
Yeah. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. I mean, you look at a good buddy of ours, Arman, I stayed at his place downtown Tampa, and he's staying in I think it's a studio, a 1-bed place, right? And he told me he paid $2,600 a month for it downtown. And I'm like, dude, for this little space? And it was just mind blowing. And then I go down the street because we met with the seller, and his lot rent's $800. And we talk about, we got to go up to $1,000, $1,100, in the next 3 years. And I'm like, yeah, this is a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, or a 3-bed, 2-bath house within 10 minutes of that condo tower. Sure, they might have a pool or whatever, and it's a different person who's going to live there. But all of the people, all of the workers, all of the, the person that works at the Winn-Dixie down the road, where are they going to live? A mobile home park. That's what, and $1,100 a month for a 3-bed, 2-bath, whether it's lot rent or park owned rent. It's what people don't understand. It's the same thing, in my opinion. Now, I could be completely wrong. You could tell me I'm naive by saying that, but it's a place to live. That's all it is. And whether you're paying for the lot or whether you're paying for the home, I know it sounds weird when I say that, but I've just come to that conclusion of give them the title, pay $1,100 a month. It's yours. You control the interior, the maintenance. We'll do the general maintenance of the park. And it's kind of the same thing, in my opinion. Now I could be wrong by saying that, but just kind of coming to that conclusion of you can charge more for lot rents.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I agree with you 100%. Where that rule, in that example, Tampa, that 100% makes sense. But if you're some of those parks that we were looking at in Louisiana, where the park owned home rent is $1,000 and the lot rent is $250, because the perception from that, from your client there is a little bit different because I think, because buying a house is really cheap there. I guess that's why.
Right.
I guess that's
right.
Why.
It's I could go out and get a mortgage and still be in that, if for $1,000 a month or $1,500 a month.
But I'll rent for $1,000.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. So I see that argument as well. But when we're talking prime markets in Florida or any suburb, really, let's say, even some stuff in Carolinas that are prime suburbs or, Atlanta, I'm sure, you can't find anything, I'm sure there's some markets there, but yeah, in bumfuck middle of nowhere, rural Iowa, yeah, it's probably hard to justify it. However, I'd be curious to see if I went to those homeowners and was look, for $600 or if we RTO'd something, right? And you RTO'd it at $1,200 and you allocated lot rent at $600, but the market's $250. Do you think they're going to care really if they're just, they're paying off their home? And then that way you can adjust your financials for the bank because all they want is lot rent. And so it makes it look better for your park. I mean, am I incorrect with that statement? Or I'm just kind of playing around with these different underwriting tactics because people are just so unrealistic and naive about some of this stuff. And it takes some creativity, like what we're talking about, to kind of make things work. Yeah,
it does. It does. And I'm always I'll call you and be like, hey, what if we do this and do this? It's a 9 cap then, we can make it work if we do this and that and blah, blah, blah. And you have to get creative like that because, again, you're just not going to buy anything if you don't, or you're going to buy something in the middle of nowhere. And, everyone that listens to the show already knows that I'm, vehemently against that. I just don't like that idea.
Yeah, dude. Like, I don't know how many like 70 plus spacers we've turned down in the middle of nowhere because it's like, what's the exit? The only way you can exit there, in my opinion, is if you have a massive portfolio and that's just kind of like added in there. And, you know, you have a 5,000 lot portfolio or 10,000 pad portfolio. And it's like, okay, yeah, we have this 100 spacer and bump, you know, Iowa, Live Oak, Iowa, or Oak Tree, Iowa. So I don't know. I just don't know how people can justify. And then, dude, like the utility stuff, I just don't feel comfortable with when it's the freezing temperatures and things like that in a mobile home. Like there's things there that, in my opinion, that's why I like the Sun Belt. But I was curious about this today. I was going to ask you about, actually just in a general phone call. So we might as well talk about it here, but it'd be curious to see what other markets in the Sun Belt. Cause like I said, I'm calling Louisiana, that's Sun Belt. And I'm like getting 25 per pad, 30 pads, you know, deals, you know, and I'm like, okay, is there an untapped market here? If it's a good suburb market where it could potentially have some MSA activity, or it's in an MSA and it's like, there could be future growth there. Should we start looking at 10-year trends and being like, dude, we should be buying everything that's 70 plus pad or 50 plus pad in those markets because 10-year trends show everybody moving down to the Sun Belt, you know, based on politics or economy or whatever. And so I was going to talk to you about that today. I'm like, dang, if we could pick up some of this stuff that was, you know, Florida 2019 pricing in Louisiana, doesn't make sense to maybe look at that market.
Yeah, I think, yeah, potentially. I mean, I think for me, at least, and this is me personally, but for me to really get comfortable with the market, I got to go there. Mm-hmm. You know, like remember when we drove all those markets up on the Gulf Coast up there?
Yeah.
There were some like we liked, like we looked at that deal in Mobile. Mobile was, you know.
Yeah.
We stopped at the stoplight and I fucking like locked the car and you started cracking up laughing because I like hit the lock button because it was a little, you know, it was a little shifty. It was a little shifty.
Yeah, you had one hand on the lock, one hand on the lock button.
Yeah. So I think if we can, you know, identify some of these parks, like, hey, you know, there's a couple 100,000 people here, you know, it's within, you know, 30 minutes of that. Yeah, we can go look at that. I would say so, but I'd like to go hit up the market first and actually see, just feeling the activity. I can look at all the data on best places. I can do whatever, but when I go there and feel the vibe of the, you know, not just the property, but the surrounding areas, is there like shit going on there in Mobile where we were?
It was kind of going the other way.
It's like, you could buy there, you know, it's going to be cheap. It wasn't like now, but when I went to Myrtle Beach this past summer and drove that market, I'm like, oh, okay, there's some movement here. I like this. Right.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I know there's other markets like that we can explore, but you know, we just have to go touch on those markets and
No, it was just a thought because I was sitting there and I'm like, these prices seem decent, you know, for what it is. But obviously, like you said, you know, and that was like the Central Florida deal we have under contract. It's like, I personally hadn't been there yet. And so when we got there, I wasn't sure like market wise. And then when I got there, I was like, oh, this feels good. Like you have to be there. You know, basically off the interstate access location, what, you know, there's a Starbucks not too far. Like when you see those kind of things, it's like, okay, this makes it feel better because there's a Starbucks close by. There's a grocery store close by that, you know, Publix, like it's starting to build out. And so, you know, what's coming down the road when you own that asset too. So, and then like the other market we drove, the smaller park we were pursuing, it's like, yeah, you can feel that energy there. It's like, okay, this is a great market. Or this is a good solid market and we're buying in the right space versus driving some of these things. It's like, holy shit, I've been driving down a dirt road for 20 minutes. I need a car wash after this one. This is not ideal.
Did he call you yet?
No, he hasn't. We need to hop on a phone call with him today. Actually, I'm glad you reminded me because he has not given me a call yet.
Yeah. Okay. See if we can snag that one.
Yeah, dude, for sure. That'd be a good one to pick up. But
and I think it's interesting too. There's sorry, go ahead. No.
I mean, if there's more deal related, I was curious. I was going to kind of take a left turn on this pod because I was curious to see, you know, from somebody who's posting a lot of content on MHP stuff and, starting to get into that space. I mean, have you seen a lot of people receiving, kind of like that are traditional, let's say, the guy you met at Starbucks, and he was like, dude, what are you even talking about? Like, why are you, you're not making sense to the this is not right. This isn't accurate. Have you seen a lot of that? Like a lot of pushback from other like veteran MHP owners or people in like old school style with your new because you're the young guy or younger guy, coming out here, 2,000 pads in your portfolio, like crushing it. Do they kind of push back on that at all when you're talking like, hey, this is like how it actually is?
No, at least not publicly. Maybe personally, they say Derek doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. Maybe I don't, maybe I don't, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe maybe in 10 years, I'll be like, yeah, you know what? Those parks with wells. Yeah. Maybe I will say that. But the thing about it is that if you understand those things, if you understand how to handle a park owned home, or anyway, if it's vacant, if it's a ship box, if it's a nice, there's different ways that you can handle that. It's not just, oh, there's park owned homes there, I'm not even going to look at it.
Yeah.
Like, that's fine. Send that over. Like, even like a wastewater facility. Like, yeah, I would agree. It can be a headache, right? All the above can be a headache, but also like we've got parks that are city water and city sewer that have been headaches. There's no water pressure. So we've had to replace the lines. It's $40,000. Like the lift station blows up, $20,000. Right. So there's even been problems with some of that stuff, even being city water and city sewer, because if your park was developed in 1950, I mean, dude, the pipes are made out of every material that's been available to make pipes between 1950 and 2004. It just depends on where you dig the line up. Right. Because mom and pop, band-aided it. The tenant fixed it one day. They actually got a plumbing company to do a section in the back. And then the rest is the old part. And then, so it's a mixture of shit, right?
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
And
that's the only thing. And it's what's fascinating is like when I hear, and again, it's just, I get all these thoughts because I just see these Facebook groups constantly just going back and forth. And I'm like, those are the things you become comfortable with or learn from owning deals. I feel like a lot of these people just don't even own any deals or haven't bought anything in the last decade. So they really aren't in tune with what's going on, and two, and to add on to that, I do have a few questions specifically on parks that I'm running into on some of this stuff. Like how naive are people or brokers when they're just like, oh, it's there's 5 on site and there's you're able to add 20 infill 20 homes like tomorrow. Like, so they look at these infill opportunities and I'm like, guys, that's not as easy as it looks.
No.
Like, can you speak on that a little bit from experience, like what it takes to actually infill a park? Because I just feel like there's a big misconception right now in that. And
dude, it's a pain in the ass. I remember I was talking to a guy, you probably know him. It's like, oh yeah, I'm going to get this park. We're going to infill. I'm like, well, how much money are you bringing? Oh, we're just going to bring, we got to bring this much down for seller financing. And, I'm like, how the fuck are you going to infill the park if you don't have any money? What are you going to do? Like, because some of these people legitimately think that they're going to go down to the dealer and people are just going to move their fucking homes in. We've never had that happen. Yeah. I've never had someone bring their own home without us doing it into one of our parks. I've never had that happen, right? It just doesn't happen, right? Like, it's just difficult to do because let's just say you get new used homes. Let's say you're in a market where a used home is $15,000. If you're in a market where a used home is $10,000 or $15,000, then you're in a market where your lot rent is $400. Okay, so the make sense number varies, right? If you're so let's say you're there and you're paying $10,000. We'll be not conservative here. Let's say you pay $10,000 for that home. You got to move it in and set it up. You're in a cheap market, so it's maybe $5,000 or $10,000. Right. you know, if you can get $400 lot rent, maybe that works. Probably works, right?
Yeah.
Now that's assuming the water and sewer is there.
That was my next question.
Assuming the electric panel doesn't need to be brought up to code. That's assuming the mover doesn't break the fucking plumbing under the house, which has happened numerous times, which is another $5,000 to fix, $4 or $5,000, depending on who your plumber is, right? And so it gets to a point to where if it costs you $40,000 to do it and you can get $350 in rent, I mean, I don't know.
Well, yeah, that's that's the thing. And I'm like looking and I'm hearing these people talk about infill opportunities. And the main thing for me was like the utility setup. It's like, guys, it's like just because there's actual like grass on the property and there's space, like quote unquote, there's enough land there. That does not mean you can add just an additional 5 homes onto the current septic system or the utility setup, or you gotta like there's things you have to do. And then you go file permitting, and then you know, code enforcement or health, department comes out and they're like, oh, hey, by the way, you have to tap in now to the city sewer because, you can't put in septics. We don't allow it anymore. Like there's so much nuance and so much depth there that these people that just don't understand that. And that's brokers included. Like if you're a real estate broker and you're trying to pitch a deal based on infill opportunity and that's how you're valuing the deal, like shame on you. There's a lot more to it. You should know that. Dude,
I'm telling you, I got mad at a guy on LinkedIn one day because maybe he listens to the show. I don't know. I can't even remember the guy's name, but he sent me a deal that was, I think I sent it to you and we were laughing about it. It was someplace up in North Florida, like, not a highly populated area.
My neck of the woods, maybe.
Your neck of the woods, but your neck of the woods is at least, civilized.
Pretty to look at.
This was an uncivilized. Yeah. And it was like 100 a pad. And I'm like, dude, it was like 2.4 million, like 22 or 24 occupied, but you could infill and add 15 lots, and he's like, oh, well, blah, blah, blah per lot, because he's counting the empty vacant lots of the lots that aren't even developed. And I'm like, dude, like it's just called like tell me you don't know the business without telling me you don't know the business, thinking that there's value there, because that, like, hey, so like the park we're getting, there's a shit ton of extra land, undeveloped land. I literally put zero value on that. Like I'm gonna go shoot my guns back there. Like I'm not deforesting the place. I'm not, we're probably gonna add some there. I think we talked about, but we're not like, I'm just not going to do it. Maybe we will eventually, but it's icing on the cake is what I'm saying.
Yeah, to put value on that is insane. Absolutely. And, and that's just where I feel, there's a lot of, naive, unfortunately misinformed people in that space, and just even like, talking about going through it with you. I haven't personally, experienced it too much, but like, just going through some of the stories with like permitting and stuff, like utilities. And, it's like you're doing a deal with a mom and pop and it's like, oh, it's not a big deal, blah, 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 or whatever. And then next thing you know, it's like the septic goes out. Well, you can't replace the septic. The city's like, now you got to tap it. You're forced to tap in and it costs X amount of dollars. Like people, and that's where like the cash reserves about no money down opportunities. It's like, that's just so dumb. And it makes me sick to my stomach to hear these guys like, oh, I want to buy a park. And I'm like, sweet, I'd love to set you up with a deal. What are you thinking? Well, no money down. What the are you talking about? No money down. I was like, even if you got the deal, they handed you the keys for no money down, you still have to have money aside for things like that.
Yeah. Like, no closing costs. You didn't get a phase 1. You didn't get a survey. Yeah. You don't have to pay for doc stamps. Like for some reason. Like,
you don't have to pay for that.
No,
your septic went out. You don't have to pay for that.
Yeah. No.
And by the way, the city won't let you replace it. So we got to tap in $250,000.
Yeah, dude, I'm telling you. And I've talked to many people that have said, hey, dude, I got to put 300 down for this deal. Okay. How much capital you need to bring to the table? 300. I'm like, oh, what about this? 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 Is the park a dump? Yes. Okay. What about this? What about this? What about this?
Yeah. And it just continues. And so I guess like segueing this conversation into, let's say somebody's a newbie and they're listening to this, like, and they're hearing us talk, like, cause you hear a lot of these influencers and social media people like, oh, you can buy a deal, no money down, blah, blah, blah. And the reality is it's like, okay, I think we are getting into their head that they cannot do that. That's just not realistic. So if I'm a newbie, and I kind of know the answer to this because I'm doing it currently, but if I'm a newbie, what would you recommend how to get their first deal? I.e., should they invest with somebody that knows what they're doing if they have a little bit of liquidity and maybe don't have the time to do some other, the management or whatever, and they realize like, okay, hey, I'm going out to buy my first solo park, maybe an 8-padder, and it's I have $100,000, right? Should they do that, or should they invest into a bigger deal, or should they be what should they do if they're brand new in the space? They're active, they're energetic to get into it, and they want to, be a part of their first deal.
Well, yeah, first, I mean, like if you really want to get into like, one thing I'll say before I get into that, my last thing I was mentioning on, the people that don't know those little nuances things is the people that won't even pay, $300 to come to a master class, right? Where you would learn that little thing. They won't even pay $300 to do that. They'll email me looking for tons of free information, which I'm fine to do, right? Like I'm fine giving out information, but at some point, where is it like, do you know how much money I've spent on personal development shit?
Bro, dude, same.
Insert, like it's an insert, like I don't even know, like $500,000.
Yeah, I'm not there. I'm probably 50,000, but like, I did like, it's not even a question anymore. I just wrote it. I just debit card, fucking 10X growth con tickets, like boom, like it's front 3 rows or whatever it is, like the most, high ticket they have. It's like, what's the most expensive ticket you got? Like slap it down. Well, not even a question.
Yeah. Well, and back to your question, what should someone do? Well, there's different options depending on what you are. If you're like I was, and if you're like Spencer is, and you're just an animal at finding deals, well, that's a really easy way to get in because you can find a deal. You can, find the partners that'll help you close that deal. You can go that route and be the sweat equity like I did. So I did 2 things. I found the deal and I was willing to be the sweat equity. That's what Spencer's doing.
Yep.
Right. You could also find the deal and, wholesale the deal. You could assign the deal, take the fee in equity. You could, I think that like really just like if you were like, hey, I want to get into this business. This is what I did. I was like, I want to get into this business. I'm like, boom. Only thing I know how to do is call. I can make contacts. So I'm going to just start calling and doing that. And once you commit to something, stuff just starts to fall your way. Not just, hey, I might do this for a little bit and see if it works.
Right.
You're not going to get lucky with that kind of attitude. Like with that outlook, you won't get lucky. But if you're like, dude, I'm going to do this. I remember when I first met my business partner, I met him in his house and I was going through some deals with him. And I was just talking to him about the real estate business. And I forget what he asked me. He asked me like, he was like, oh, so, what asset class are you looking to get into? I was like, I'm getting into mobile home parks. No. I'm getting into this asset class. These deals, I'm getting into these deals.
Yeah.
So I had already made up my mind and then boom, stuff just started coming in. But most people don't even make up their mind. That's one.
No, they don't make the decision and they're afraid to commit, which is so fascinating to me because it's like, I've been thinking about this a lot lately in philosophy of life. It's like, you have this fear and it's to, I don't understand though. It's because it's like you have a fear to commit, but then is it, you have a feel of failure or whatever. And it's like, dude, what is your life currently? Like you can always revert back to your current situation, it's right. Like, you might as well take that, risk and go for it and then make that commitment. And so, yeah, dude, like that. And that's like for me, getting into this space, it's like, okay, did I think I was going to get into mobile home parks as a real estate investor? No, I kind of knew I wanted to get into real estate investing. I knew that was the end game and owning assets and building my net worth, right? But I didn't know what asset class. The only reason I found this asset class is because I came into a deal and I knew someone, who was in that space. And I was like, hey, I found a deal. And you're like, sick. Like, I like this deal. And we're still trying to buy that deal. Maybe someday we'll buy that deal if he becomes a seller. And then, yeah, dude, pisses me off. But then moving forward, it's like, yeah, just, okay, I got this guy who's buying deals. So how can I figure out a way to make his life easier, i.e. find him deals, underwrite the deals, become a soundboard for this guy, and then he's doing his thing on the capital end. And so there's got to be like, if you're going to partner with somebody, like you can't both be finding deals, right? Someone's got to be providing the deal finding. Somebody's got to be providing that, the capital. Somebody's got to be dealing, the back end operation systems and things like that. And so if you're a newbie or if you're just wanting to get into the space, like the idea that you're going to find a no money deal, buy it yourself, own it 100% yourself, it's just not realistic. And so that doesn't mean you can't get a deal, but you need to be, if you find the deal, it has to be a great deal to bring somebody else in. And like Derek said, take the equity, take the assignment fee, use that as equity, roll it back into the deal, and do it that way. Or if you have like a whale, dude, if you have somebody that's like, maybe somebody who's really wealthy, and has money and they want to get, connect them with somebody and then figure out a way to get in that way, figure out what you have and use it, and that's kind of, what I did. So
for sure.
Yeah.
If you want to get in, you can get in, like,
dude,
if you want to get in, you can get in. Like I have a guy in my mentorship program who literally wants to get in, and now he's in working with us. Right?
That's what I'm saying, man. Like
he figured out, he showed enough value that now he's on our team, right? So
exactly. I was just gonna say that. I'm like, if you really want to get into this game, like, why would you not join? Like, quit being, you're being unselfish you're being selfish by thinking you can do it on your own. And the reason I'm saying you're being selfish is not, it's because you think you're going to get 100% ownership of something or whatever in the beginning. And I'm trying to think of why I say it that way. It's like, Cardone always talks about, he's like, you need to be selfish, but you're being selfish by not being selfish in the sense of like not providing and going out and, conquering or whatever. But dude, quit thinking you're going to do this on your own. Come join us. Come join me. Come work on dude, you'll have a deal within the first couple of weeks. You'll either have equity in, or you'll get a, assignment fee or a wholesale fee and it'll be more money than, probably made all year, or a third or a fourth of what you make in a total year on one deal. Right. And that's like, so if you're willing to get in the game, like there's plenty of people willing to help you. And that's what I'm realizing. And the bigger I get and the more we do, it's like, oh, this person's willing to help. This person's willing to help. It's like, yeah, everybody wants to help each other because it benefits us in a way.
Right.
And so if you can benefit, if I can make your life easier, you're going to let me, play the game with you. Just like, your partners did with you by being the deal finder and the sweat equity guy.
Correct. Yeah, dude. So you can get I guess the short answer is that if you really want to get involved in the game, you can get involved in the game. You can do it.
Yeah. If you really want to, you can do it. I just think a lot of people don't really want to. True. At the end of the day, if they want it bad enough, they'll do it. But unfortunately, social media is making real estate investing super like sexy right now. And there's a lot of bad information out there. Like, it's just, really, really annoying to see it. So, yes. But they create these courses and they sell these courses because it sounds good. Like, hey, no money down. Like, yeah, I could sell you a course on that too, but you're not going to get anything done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or it might be a single family sub 2 deal. And I like Pace Morby. He seems like a great guy. I'm sure I would make, but like, come on, man. Like, you're not going to pick up a good asset in Tampa, Florida with no money down or sub 2. Like, you might be able to pick up some dusty old park in Live Oak, Iowa, or Oak Tree, Iowa, that doesn't exist. that no one will ever buy from you down the road, that no one will ever live in, by the way. And you still won't be able to do it with no money because of the things we just talked about. So like, that's just not reality.
Yeah. It's not reality at all. It's not reality.
It cost me 10 grand to learn that and take his course on to realize that's not reality, where we're giving you this information for free. Yeah. We need to start. I'm going to start charging. I'm done. I'm making 4 hours live cold calls every day, and I'm streaming it to YouTube for free.
Yeah, you're giving away the gold, dude. But the interesting thing. So this is the interesting thing. So like most people that take the free data and want like free, it's just fine. I don't mind free shit. They're not going to do anything with it anyways.
That's why I'm not afraid to put it out there.
You can put it out there, but like when it comes to like actually hitting send and doing this, like it's not. It's
I could literally be like, hey, this is the phone number to this park. They want to sell right now. Here's the deal, blah, 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 and show it all right here. And they'd be like,
somebody would call. If I saw that, I'd call.
Somebody would call out there, but like,
but not as many as you think.
Yeah. It's weird though, and like, I'm, cold calling live. I'm showing the value, going through my script verbatim, like what I do, my processes. And it's like, yeah, I'm so comfortable doing it because I know no one can. I have 10 years of experience on whoever is getting started today. So like, good luck competing. If you did want to do this and go with you, so might as well just join me. It's kind of the conclusion here. Like, just if you want to get started, like just come on board. We'll get you rocking and rolling. But in two, it's like, okay, good. I've been doing it for 10 years and I'm not going to quit. So it's like, that's why I'm comfortable doing it live. So, whatever. But yeah, dude, and I do want to help people. That's kind of the idea behind it. And but there's a false sense of reality out there. And so I'm really trying to get them to understand what it takes to do what we're doing. And so, just trying to show it more by doing it and being like, guys, you have to commit to this. I mean, and that doesn't mean you have to quit your job if you have a job right now. It just means you need to do, like, you had an insurance business and you had 1,000 pads, dude. Like, that's when you finally retired from the insurance industry. So it's like, if you could speak on that a little bit, how would somebody who's working a 9 to 5 listening to this, or maybe they're a teacher or somebody, maybe start trying to get into what we're doing so they can also set up some cash flow for them, or maybe they want to continue teaching. Like, what would you recommend somebody? Because I think anybody could really do what we're doing. For sure. And you can. So yeah, I had the biggest, I think it was about the biggest team in our particular area. We were crushing it. I had 100+ salespeople. Yeah. I had a baby on the way. My office was an hour away from my house. So it was an hour there, hour back every day. I still worked out every morning. I still did a few hours of personal development just about every day. And I still spent time with my wife who was pregnant, and needed help. And something had to be sacrificed. Mm-hmm. And you know what it was for me? What was it? Sleep. Yeah. And then somebody might say, oh, well, I got to get my 8 hours of sleep. Fuck you, dude. Like, I got to get my 8 hours of sleep. Dude, when you're like on purpose, like I never felt tired because I was like, oh my God, this is going to be fucking huge. Like we're going to there's just stuff coming. Like the energy you get. Yeah. The energy you get from the big purpose and having something dude, it's like, it gets you through those. You don't even think you're tired. Yeah. And this is the person. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to sacrifice time with my wife. X that off. I'm not going to sacrifice the gym. X that off. I'm not going to sacrifice the insurance business, which maybe did falter a little bit. But I was like, yeah, I can't do that. I'm not going to sacrifice my personal development time because this is what got me here. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to sacrifice. So I'm like, okay, sleep. I can give up an hour or two. And it wasn't like there were some nights I got like 4 hours of sleep and I was still up at 4 going to the gym. Like, whatever. Dude. I wasn't sacrificing that. Yeah, well, and the thing is too, when people are like, "Oh, I need my 8 hours," it's like, well, you didn't need your 8 hours in college when you were doing benders all night.
Oh yeah, when you knew you were getting up in the morning and day drinking at fucking Burro Loco, fucking
yeah, exactly. So it's just like, I agree, man, and that's that's kind of like it was for me. And like, dude, if I was a school teacher right now and I was listening to this, I don't know why. Maybe I thought I was a school teacher in my second life or something, or another life, but I'm like, dude, I would be 8 to 4 school teacher, like from 4 to 7, graded papers, whatever. I'd be dialing, bro. Like I'd be dialing. I'd be trying to find a deal in my local market, trying to figure out, because as a school teacher, you don't have the funds more than likely to make something happen. But, but however, that doesn't mean you can't get into a deal or start buying some deals by finding them, right? So I would be spending all summer sourcing deals, trying to find a deal. And then I'd be spending between 4 p.m. and 7 p.m. just making like 50. I can make 50 to 100 dials in 3 hours. Like you would find something, and then you could school teach during the day, and then just like drive the parks at night, be boots on the ground at night and the weekends. Dude, one park can change your life. Like we talked about, like this guy up here, he was a sheriff. Dude's going to sell his park for $4 million.
Yeah. But Spencer, my show comes on every night, and I like to watch Netflix with my wife and husband.
Well, that's fine. Like, good. Like, then don't do it, right? Like, and that's the thing, man. It's like, and if you want to watch Netflix, like, I'm okay. See, I'm a little bit different. Like, I'm okay if you want to watch your Netflix, but just make sure all your shit's done first.
Yeah.
So if you want to watch Netflix and you want to watch at 10 o'clock at night and you're winding down with your wife, or 9 o'clock at night or whatever. I mean, I'm getting into bed, so I haven't watched TV in a while. But like, let's just say you did want to watch a show or a football game. Like, that's fine.
Yeah.
Just make sure all your shit's done first, and prioritize that. And it's amazing how much time you have to actually get it done than what you think. Like I said, you can make 100 dials in less than 3 hours. Like, that's just fact. And 100 dials will get you at least a deal a day. And so it's like,
for sure.
You know what I'm saying? And so It's like, that's only 3 hours. What else are you? Okay, from 4 to 7, great. The game's on at 7:30. Go crack a beer. Go watch the game. Whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, now I don't drink, but you know what I'm saying? It's like these people that are like, oh, whatever. It's like you still can do this stuff.
What do you do for fun, Derek? What do you do for fun? You don't drink. You don't what do you do for fun? I'm like, right. You know what I do for fun? Like, dude, my
life is like fun.
Going exactly, dude. Like, I have fun all the time. Like, yeah. I'm underwriting a deal that I might get under market. Like, that's fun with me. Like, going after the deal and like solving problems and building something. Like, that's fun to me. It makes me like feeling productive.
Yeah, that's
fun.
Absolutely.
To me. I just
I'm the same way. It's like, I don't drink anymore. I quit drinking. I used to. But it's just like I don't see the benefit of it anymore. Now I do smoke cigars. I love a nice cigar. I haven't smoked one in a week though, because I haven't left my house. I haven't left my house in like a week. I'm just calling all day.
I think the person that asked you, well, what do you do for fun? Is like, I think what they're really asking is like, I don't know what they're really asking, but I think it's code for something else. Right. Even Arman. So Arman with me, because I've been like, the life that I live is different from, and you can ask Arman when we went to that thing in Vegas, he stopped me and he's like, dude, Derek, you are completely out of the matrix. You do not do anything that the normal, average, everyday person does. Like, it's just, you don't you don't do anything. And, it's just different. It's difficult for people to think.
Grasp. Well, and there's a reason why, you have 100, I guess you could question the value, but like, let's say $140 million portfolio, and you like, and that's a reality. All those producers, all the people that are billionaires and the people that we aspire to be operate at that like that. So it's they are different because there's so few of them, right? And so you have to operate like that, and that's where I'm learning how to operate like that, because that's where I want to go. Now, like the people that ask you, it's like, oh, what do you do for fun? In my opinion, they're just asking. They're trying to justify, like, they're trying to make you feel uncomfortable or bad for being the way you are, because they internally feel guilty about having fun, going out and drinking and all that, right? Because they know they're supposed to be doing what you're doing, But in reality, they're like, ah, shit, I just got drunk 3 days in a row. Like, whatever. And that's like, I was chilling with Arman, at the cigar lounge or whatever. And I can enjoy that for a podcast. I enjoy a cigar and, but the whole time I'm writing down notes, deals, like listening to, like, that's my personal development time usually is like podcast, cigars, taking notes, or like doing a deal or on the phone with you. Right. It's just because I have a dependency problem. It seems like I always have to be drinking like a water or coffee or fidgeting or cigar or whatever. I don't know. It's like ADHD or something, I guess. I don't fucking know. I've never been medicated. But yeah, dude, I mean, it's just, I think people, ultimately are just insecure. And then the people that aren't insecure about their life and have purpose, it just makes them feel really uncomfortable. And me and you are just in our own lane. We're like, whatever. We just don't. That's why we're willing to do this. Right. Like, so I just don't give a fuck. Like, and the people that don't give a fuck are the most dangerous, Yeah. But
dude, well, what we were talking about before, if anybody wants to get started, hit Spencer up. We can get you started.
Dude, if you really want to get in the game, like really, really want to get in the game, I can get you in the game. Like, at no the only barrier is going to just be following my system. There's no money involved. Like, this is a free way to get into the game until I start charging you for a course, which, might be down the road, but like, it's like joining my team. It's a low barrier to entry. I mean, and there are standards you have to have, but there's things you have to do. And if you don't do that, you're not going to be on the team. But, like the guy who was in your group who connected with you, who paid, I don't know how much to get into I think what was at the time to get into the group? $997, maybe more.
A couple grand.
So he paid a couple grand to get into Derek's group. He's going to get a very nice check here in about 40 days. That is way more than what he paid to get into your group by following my process and our process.
Yes.
So sign if you want to get connected to Derek, sign up for his program, and then he'll connect you with me because he'll know if you're legit or not. And it's worth it because you start learning the lingo. I don't think I could probably take anybody. It would be a challenge, but I think they need to go through some sort of program to understand what they're, calling about and understanding the nuances of park details, which I think you do a very good job of explaining in that program. So I think it would probably be good for them to join your program and then, shoot them over to me and we'll take them to a place where they're making some serious money or getting some assets under their belt.
Yeah, for sure. And what people don't know is that we have the secret over here. We've got the expansion oracle on our team. I'm not going to say, but we got the expansion oracle.
Dude, Arman was like talking to me a lot about that in the podcast. And I was like, I'm not going to say anything. I'm not dropping names or nothing, but I'm like, this guy could work for Blackstone. Like, this guy is next level, and it's like, what people don't realize is how important that is. And 99% of businesses don't have it. And so, like, dude, like, they don't even, like, we're flinging deals. We're like gunslinging deals over here, like flying by the seat of our pants, doing what we're doing. And now we've incorporated this guy. Oh my God. Woo!
Yeah, it's going to be, yeah.
Unstoppable.
Unstoppable, dude. Unstoppable. Well, dude, I appreciate you coming on, man. We'll have to hop on again. I love, getting on and chatting. We always have a good conversation. Like I said, I'm going to keep my mic with me on some of these phone calls, especially when we're like, talking about how crazy some of these sellers are. And
yeah, dude, 100%. We got to start documenting more of this stuff, maybe get a videographer on us more when we're together. I think it'd just be funny, entertaining, and educating at the same time. And then, yeah, dude, we'll keep doing this. I think the people need to see more of us doing more shows and things like that consistently, so they can continue to learn and, help them get to that first deal or whatever they're trying to aspire to do. So, yeah, this is a good time to end it. I just got a text from our one of the guys we want to do a deal with. So, the one we sent the contract out on. So he wants us to hop on a call with him.
I like that. So
yeah,
thank you all for watching the MHP Show and listening to the MHP Show. Please like and subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, all the podcasts, and we will catch you all next week. Peace.